Welcome students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I'm Dr. Sudhanshu Joshi from Doon University, Dehradun. Today we are going to discuss about a module, Corporate Culture and Strategic Management under paper Strategic Management. The learning objective of this module is to explore the relationship between corporate culture and strategies to address the following questions. What is the definition and scope of corporate leadership and culture? How does corporate culture affect the strategic decision of the firm? To know the impact of competition on corporate culture and to understand relationship between corporate culture and competitive advantage. The term corporate culture can be explained as corporate DNA to communicate, coordinate, focus to achieve organization objectives, keeping in view the norms and the values of the organization. In simple words, organization culture can act as an essential influential factors in analyzing organization in various contexts. It's important to establish competitive advantage or its impact on organization performance. The success of organization is not only determined by specific external conditions, with barriers to market entry, rivalry in the industry, and suppliers and buyers' power. Rather, it is being decided by companies' value. The broad scope of corporate culture is develop social control among individuals of the organization. In order to ensure the corporate culture to become integrated part of corporate environment, organization needs to ensure cultural functions should blend with ongoing activities of the business. Let us define the term culture function. Culture function as a way to bring a group of people with a similar interest, background, and belief together while shaping their view of the world. Corporate culture strengthens bonds between people and can easily change and evolve by adding new trends or removing old trends. Cultural function incorporate variables including incentivized and integrity. Wherever incentives emerge as major strategic focus as cultural components that complement with the traditional control systems and terms integrity define as holistic of the functions. Elements of corporate culture. Figure first shows one way of thinking about an organization's culture and its components. Each component, assumption value, belief, behavior, artifacts, measurements, and actions has its own property. For example, in culture-driven firms, including Toyota, shared assumptions, values, and beliefs are harder to influence, change, and manage than behavior. Determination of corporate culture. Various determinants define the scope and applicability of culture of an organization, including organizational structure, which includes power and authority structure, patterns of information exchange, and organization rules. Business processes, interlinkage between the processes. Third, HR management and compensation mechanism, which includes hiring and training, development, etc. Fourth is overall strategic outlook of the organization, which includes vision statement, corporate governance, and corporate advantage of the firm. Figure second exhibits various determinants of corporate culture, which includes the interrelationship between main determinants of corporate culture, including strategy, structure, business processes, reward system, and human resource management. Whereas strategy includes vision, governance, and competitive advantage, and they are interlinked with the processes, which includes networks and process themselves, and also linked with structure, which includes power, authority, information flow, and organization roles. It also links itself with the reward system, the compensation and the reward within the organization, and also allied itself with human resource management and its underlying processes, including hiring, work, feedback, and learning. All these determinants are influenced by internal environment as well as the external environment of the business. In the figure second, we define the determinants of corporate culture, which we have adapted from Galbraith 2006. Why function matters? Now this section helps you to understand why we should study culture, how culture influences the overall performance of employees and firms. Corporate culture, like personal characteristic, is an amphibious quality that exerts a powerful influence. Business observers have long recognized commonalities among leaders nurtured at companies renowned for having strong cultures. For example, Procter & Gamble, McKinsey, and KPMG. The unexpected potential of culture can be both a blessing or a curse for organization as they ponder strategy and human resource issues clearly. Companies should analyze the leadership profiles of their own employees and assess their organization tolerance for divergent styles when consider merger and acquisition or important external hires. Successful mergers between companies in which employees displayed similar leadership style or where the culture tolerates different ones. It is possible to change a company's culture, or at least to a bit in one direction or another. That is best achieved by continual hiring people who represents direction in which you are headed. The set of characteristics are depicted in table first, where a firm leads the reflection of corporate value of it. Table first describes the corporate values, and the values includes integrity, fitness, peak attitude, innovation, communication, trust, care, and passion. Let me have a brief on this. Integrity is described as how the organization does what it says it will do for members and staff follow through on promises. What is promised in a membership is delivered or not. It's integrity. Fitness is explained as staff are committed to their own fitness and the fitness of members. They value the role of fitness in people's life and know that it can make a difference. Peak attitude is explained as staff are upbeat and energized. Innovation is described as the organization has innovative fitness ideas and staff try to come up with new ways of doing things. Communication can be described as information and education as easily accessible. Event, activity, and classes are communicated clearly. Members are listened to and heard in the organization. Trust can be explained as member can count on staff to look after them. Members trust that staff has accurate information and knowledge, and they have confidence in staff ability. The term care is explained as the organization cares about its members and about the staff, and the staff care about members and about each other. Passion could be explained as staff are passionate about their job and are dedicated to serve other members. Performance is explained as the organization has a long history of success and is a leader in the industry. Strategic orientation can be categorized into 6 factors, namely leading, future analytics, aggressiveness, defensive, adventurous, and conservative. These orientation can be described as follows: leading, always trying to innovate; future analytics, focus on research for future activities; aggressive, undercutting competitors; defensive, maintaining careful control; adventurous, risk-taking, conservative, and avoiding risk. Cultural role in organization performance. Culture, execution, and strategy together explain much of an organization's performance. Figure 2 first shows one way of thinking about the relationship. Shared assumptions regarding such things as the right customers, competitors, and suppliers, communicators to be served, the legal and regulatory environment, and the people, work, motivation, and the social environment influence elements of culture, strategy, and execution. That explains why these basic elements of management typically have more overlap than the theory leads to be believed. Although extraordinary technology or projects may afford short-term success, the degree of alignment between elements of culture, strategy, and execution is a major factor in determining an organizational long-term performance, as shown in Figure 2.2. The Figure 2 first and 2.2 reflects on how cultural role in organization performance takes place and how culture as know-how. In Figure 2 first, it is being illustrated that while sharing the basic assumption among people and customer, the alignment can influence the execution of the processes and also give the competitive strength to the organization. It also ensured the blending of people with the current culture, values, beliefs, and artifacts of the organization, and it pursued with the organization performance and its long-term sustainability. Whereas, if we go with Figure 2.2, one can understand that how know why is interlinked with know who, and how it is complementing know what, where, and when, which is itself is a strategy of the organization, and how these celluloids are interlinked to each other to formulate the long-term understanding of the business in terms of its cultural understanding. What is corporate culture? Corporate culture refers to the beliefs and behavior that determine how a company's employees and management interact and handle outside business transactions. Often corporate culture is implied, not explicitly defined, and developed organically over time from the cumulative traits of the people the company hires. A company's culture will be reflected in its dress code, business hours, office setup, employees' beliefs, turnover, hiring decisions, and treatment of clients. It also includes client satisfaction and even every other aspect of operation. Components of corporate culture. The components of corporate culture are vision, values, practices, people, narratives, and place. As stated in Harvard Business Review in year 2013, vision includes from a simple mission statement to a corporate manifesto. A company's vision is a powerful tool. Corporate culture initiated started with a vision or mission statement, and a good vision statement can help orient customers, suppliers, and other stakeholders. To quote an example, Google's modern and infamous slogan, "Don't be evil," is a compelling corporate vision. The second component of corporate culture is values. Values offers a set of guidelines on the behavior and mindsets needed to achieve the vision. It's also considered or stated as firm's value are the core of its culture, embody the mentalities and perspectives necessary to achieve a company's vision. Citing one example on this, McKinsey and Company, for example, has a clearly articulated set of values that are prominently communicated to all employees and involve the way that the firm vows to serve clients, treat colleagues, and uphold professional standards. The third component of corporate culture is practices, practical execution of values at work to obtain results as per the firm's vision is practices. Also, practices are the tangible methods guided by ethics through which a company implements its value. Practice incorporates focus on market orientation, establishing oneself as knowledge-based, highly result-oriented, value-driven enterprise. For example, Netflix emphasized the importance of knowledge-based, high-achieving employees is an example of practice. Fourth component of corporate culture is people. The overall culture of a company is the reflection of the people involved in it. No company can build a coherent culture without involving people who either share its core value. For example, G includes people as the part of the core value and willingness. It's the right example to quote on how people are contributing to the culture of the organization. Fifth component of corporate culture is narratives. Narrative is a core element of the culture creation. The history of the organization can be unearthed and crafted into narration. For instance, Coca-Cola, which dedicated an enormous resource to celebrate its heritage and culture, is being narrated in the form of white papers or corporate case studies. Sixth component is place. The place of business, such as the city of choice and also office design and architecture, is also one of the most cutting-edge elements in contemporary corporate culture. For example, Pixar has simulated workplace where firm members interact with each other in informal and unplanned way. There are other factors that influence culture, but these six components can provide a firm foundation for shaping a new organization culture. The identifying and understanding them more fully in an existing organization can be first step to revitalize or reshape culture in a company looking for a change. Fix the characteristic of corporate cultures, including family, Eiffel guided missiles, and incubators. If we talk about the characteristic first, that is relationship between employees, family reacts diffusion relationship to organic whole to which one is bonded, whereas Eiffel Tower as corporate culture depicted as a specific role in mechanical system of required interaction. Guided missile as corporate culture take this characteristic as a specific task in cybernetic system targeting on shared objectives, whereas incubator take this characteristic as diffusive, spontaneous relationship growing out of the shared creative processes. Characteristic attitude towards authority influenced corporate culture of family as status is ascribed to parent figures, those are close and powerful, whereas Eiffel Tower corporate culture take it as status is ascribed to superior roles that are distant yet powerful. Guided missile takes this attribute as status is achieved by project group members who contribute to targeted goals. Incubator take this characteristic as status is achieved by individuals exemplifying creativity and growth. Next characteristic, that is ways of thinking and learning, has been taken by family as intuitive, holistic, literal and error-correcting process, whereas Eiffel Tower take it as logical, analytical, vertical and rationally efficient characteristic. Guiding missile take this characteristic as problem-centered, professional, practical, cross-disciplinary, whereas incubator as culture take this characteristic as process-oriented, creative, ad hoc, and inspirational. Characteristic includes attitudes towards people, ways of changing, being taken up as family members, father changed courses by family cultures, human resource and change rules and procedures as Eiffel Tower culture, specialization and experts, and shifting aims as target moves by guided missile culture, co-creation, improvisation, and attunes by incubation, incubator culture. characteristic ways of motivating and rewarding is considered as the intrinsic satisfaction in being loved and respected by family culture, is taken as promotion to great position and large role by affiliate culture, is considered as pay or credit for performance and problem solution by guided missile culture, participation in the process of creating new realities by incubator culture. The last characteristic is being considered as criticism and conflict resolution, and the take of family culture on this is turn other cheek, save other's face, do not lose power game. Whereas affiliate treat this characteristic as criticism is accusation of irrationalism unless there are procedures to arbitrate conflicts, whereas guided missile take this characteristic as constructive task related only, then admit errors and correct first, whereas incubator culture take it as improve creative ideas, not negate it. Impact of competition on corporate culture. Competitive business environment brings about changes in organization and forces firms to seek the strategies that will best enable them to gain or sustain a competitive advantage in the marketplaces. To continue growing, companies should adapt to environmental changes and manage their employees to act consistently in reacting to that change. Thus, corporate strategies should balance external environmental realities with internal capabilities to maximize corporate value. Several authors in 1980s demonstrate the strong relationship between culture and performance. Strong culture is considered as one that is shared among a majority of employees, could be predictor variable to measure the organization's financial and non-financial performance. There is a co-linkage between organization culture and identity, organization strategy, organization design, structure and processes, and also with organizational behavior and performance. Existing theory supports this linkage at the organization level. In support of this, we are illustrating existing theories that support organization culture and strategic linkage from 1985 written paper by Shear and 1993 written paper by Hatch, which explains how visible behavior impact on rules and standards of an organization and how it also influences the invisible unconsciousness of the organization. Also, it reflects on how the values are realized by the artifacts and how it's symbolized in the form of business symbols and interpreted in terms of assumptions and manifest to the organization's value. The impact of organization culture on strategy, structure, and operations. Figure first shows the interlinkage between organization culture, strategy linkage. Culture symbolizes set of guiding principles and it equally affects the process of operationalization. Culture indirectly influences strategy, organization structure, and operation. Figure second explains the overlapping between organization culture, strategy, structure, and operation using organization culture model. How organization culture, strategy, structure, and operations are interlinked, overlooked, and how they are influencing the overall performance of the company. How the guiding principle help organization to address the long-term vision and create the underlying patterns in it. From a strategic perspective, corporate culture is defined as a pattern of shared values and beliefs that help individuals understanding organization functionality and thus provide them with norms for behavior in the organization. Corporate culture focuses on underlying values and attitudes that affects the ways in which things are done. Strategic orientation ensured the mapping of organization behavior with firm's strategy. On the other hand, it is considered as a control variable to increase organizational overall performance. Like culture, strategic orientation is considered to be a critical issue that may determine the success or
failure of an organization. This has particular application for management because strategic orientation is also considered as a control variable, and therefore it can improve the organization overall performance. Organization performance focus on how firms should interact with external environments such as customer, competitors, and technology to conduct business. The effectiveness of firm's strategy depends on the fit between strategic choices and market dynamism.
Now let us understand the corporate culture and strategic advantage. Corporate culture and financial performance, how they are blended to each other. As mentioned in the previous section of the module, corporate culture might directly affect performance. There is a significant relationship between return on assets and corporate culture for both services and manufacturing sector. Corporate culture and non-financial performance are also interlinked. The corporate culture have pervasive effects on non-financial aspects of an organization, and therefore its effect may be found at any point in the relationship because it defines the organization employees, customers, competitors and suppliers, as well as the way in which all of these stakeholders interact. Let us also understand transactional culture approach, which is also known as TCA. Cultures are plural and independent of geo-ethnic boundaries and emerge through social transactions. That is, pattern exchange of material, immaterial items between individuals or groups. TCAs encourage multi-level exploration of complex social phenomena.
Corporate sustainability. The term triple bottom line was found in John Eckington's Cannibals with Folks, the triple bottom line of 21st century, and has been very popular among scholars in the last couple of years. Triple bottom line is composed of economic, environmental, and social indicators which integrate with an organization's management, assessment, and reporting processes. The shear zone of corporate sustainability. The shear zones of corporate sustainability. The term shear zone is originated from geographical science and described the overlap of two tectonic plates. These tectonic plates cause friction in shear zones, which eventually leads to earthquake. Eckington in 1997 described the impact of the change in the tectonic plates of economic, social, and ecological sustainability as earthquake in the business world often change the business environment. Relationship between corporate sustainability and organization culture. The success of implementing corporate sustainability is affected by the values and behavior of people, working environments, leadership style, working attitudes, etc. After understanding the concept of corporate sustainability and organization culture, their relationship will be discussed in this module. The theory of human behavior in the organization must be studied in order to understand what affect how people behave in an organization. Relationship between corporate sustainability and organization culture. Culture as a stimulus. Liu and Zhang in 2004 claimed organization culture can be taken as the stimulus of adoption of various behavior in the organization. As mentioned in the previous slides, culture is values shared among individuals. It could affect the attitude and guide the behavior of an individual. Newcomers may bring new beliefs and assumptions which may affect the current shares underlying values inside the company. Importance of culture in implementing the corporate sustainability. Jones et al. In 2001 suggested that particular organization culture influenced the uptake of innovative practices in different ways. They conclude that corporate culture with the human relations orientation demonstrated high readiness for change when it came to the implementation of a new philosophy. This was in direct contrast to those organizations that reported hierarchical command and control style cultures. Sustainable change metrics, incremental paths. As mentioned in Griffiths and Ben's research paper in 2007, entitled as Organization Change for Corporate Sustainability, a guide for leaders and change agents of the future, it is clearly indicated that in the quadrant flow of ecology sustainability phase vis-a-vis human sustainability phase, there is a larger flow of stability from unsustainable cooperation to sustainable cooperation, people concerned cooperation to ecological concerned cooperation. Discussion. To improve their overall performance, market-oriented companies should consider changing their corporate culture along the following lines. One point about the task-oriented culture is that it requires employees to win in the market competition. Development of individuals, employees, or relationship among employees can be neglected in such an environment. Managers could draw from clan culture, for instance, to take one interest in monitoring employees as well as head employees' opinion. Clan, relationship, advocacy, innovation, and hierarchical culture. Companies could enhance their financial performance through both leading and defensive strategic approaches, seek new market opportunities, take leading actions to respond to the changing environment, and put more efforts in production technology improvements, cost control systems, manufacturing management methods, quality management cycles, cost reduction, and operational effectiveness.
So students, let's now summarize what we have learned in this module. Organizations' culture can act as essential influential factor in analyzing organization at various contexts. The cultural strengths bonds between people and can easily change and evolve by adding new trends or removing old traditions. This set of characteristics in a firm leads to reflect the corporate values, viz. Integrity, fitness, pearl attitude, innovation, communication, trust, care, passion, and performance. Strategic orientation can be categorized into six factors, namely lead, future analytics, aggressive, defensive, adventurous, and conservative. Thank you.